Have you ever sat quietly one evening, looking back at your life and wondered, why is it that some people completely change their lives while I'm still stuck in the same place? I've had hundreds of people ask me that question over more than 30 years of teaching personal growth. And I always tell them something that may sound a little harsh, but it's the truth we all have to face sooner or later. No one is coming to save you. There's no one out there sitting around thinking of ways to make your life better. No hero is going to show up at the perfect moment to pull you out of loneliness, debt, or years of lost time. And you know what's strange? The moment you truly understand that your life finally begins to change. I say this not as philosophy, but from experience. When I was 35, I lost my job, went through a divorce, and had nothing left but an old car and two hands. I remember sitting on the cold floor, feeling like the whole world had forgotten about me. And I waited for someone to call, waited for help, waited for a chance to appear. But no one came. And in that exact moment when I realized no one was coming, I took my first step forward. A small one, but it was the first step toward a new life. Years later, after working with people in their 50s and 60s, I realized something we all share. Most of us don't fail because we lack opportunity. We fail because we wait too long. We wait until we're ready. We wait until we have more time. We wait until everything is perfect. But here's the truth, the perfect moment never comes because it doesn't exist. A friend of mine once said, "I'll start writing my book when I have more time." I met him again 10 years later. He was still saying the same thing. Meanwhile, another man, less talented, less experienced, had already published 3 books. The difference wasn't in their talent. It was in their decision. One chose to wait. The other chose to act. I've seen so many people with extraordinary potential just stand still, believing that someone else would eventually recognize their value, a boss, a partner, a relative. But life doesn't work that way. The world doesn't owe you recognition. It doesn't owe you opportunity. It doesn't owe you support. It only gives you one thing, the choice to stand still or to move forward. And here's the beautiful part. The moment you start moving, doors begin to open. I remember once during a workshop, a 55-year-old woman said to me, "I feel like life has passed me by. Isn't it too late to start again?" I looked at her and asked, "If you start today, how will you feel a year from now?" She went silent. Then tears began to fall because she realized the longer she waited, the more of her own time she was losing. The answer doesn't lie in your age. It lies in your decision to begin. I want you to imagine this. If you just try to improve yourself by 1% every single day, read 1 more page, walk 5 more minutes, spend 10 more minutes in silence, listening to yourself in 1 year, you'll become a completely different person. That's not a fantasy, it's mathematics. Improve by 1% a day, and after 365 days, you're 37 times better. That's the power of consistent progress, not sudden bursts. Most of us overestimate big leaps and underestimate small steps, but those small steps are what build a lasting life. I once had a friend, a simple carpenter, no degree, no business background. One day he said, "I'm tired of waiting for someone to hire me. I'll make my own tables and sell them myself." At first, no one bought from him. He lost money. People laughed, but he kept going. Today, he owns a small furniture company that employs 40 people. When I asked him, "What's your secret?" he smiled and said, "I stopped waiting for someone else to save me." You see, every great change begins with a small decision. No one will come and tap your shoulder saying, "Now's the right time." You have to tell yourself, "I'm starting even if I'm not perfect, even if I'm not ready." Because perfection is the sweetest trap of procrastination. We think we're preparing, but really, we're just hiding. Behavioral science has proven this. When you take action, even small action, your brain releases dopamine, the hormone that gives you energy and motivation. But when you sit still and overthink, your fear grows and your mind convinces you that you're not ready yet. So the key isn't motivation, it's action. Because action creates motivation, not the other way around. I'm 60 years old now, and I can tell you this from a lifetime of experience. Life doesn't get easier with time, but you can get stronger. Real strength doesn't come from never falling. It comes from how many times you've stood back up. The world isn't led by the smartest people, it's led by the most persistent ones. One day you'll look back and realize no one came to save you. And that was the best thing that ever happened to you, because that's the day you found the real hero in your life. That hero was you. I don't know where you are in your journey right now. Maybe you're standing at a crossroads, or maybe you feel like you've gone too far without getting anywhere. But please remember this. It's never too late to start again. It's never too late to change, to learn to love, to believe, and to live a life that truly belongs to you. So start today, not tomorrow, not when you have more time. Today, even if it's just one small step, one small choice. Because no one else will do it for you. No one is coming to save you. But once you take that first brave step, you'll realize you never needed saving at all. You just needed to begin. You know, after so many years working with people, I've realized something powerful. Most of us are not short of ability. We're short of belief that we can do it ourselves. I remember once a man in his 50s came to see me during a workshop. He said, "I've been doing the same job for over 20 years. I'm not happy, but I can't quit because I don't know how to start over." I looked at him and asked, "If you don't start now, where will you be 5 years from today?" He went silent, and I could see the fear in his eyes, not the fear of failure, but the fear of having to take responsibility for his own life. We were taught as children, just work hard, be good, and someone will notice you. But every adult knows the truth. Life doesn't work like a classroom. You can be talented, but if you don't stand up for yourself, no one will hand you an opportunity. You can be kind, but if you never show up, no one will know you exist. The truth is, no one out there is sitting around thinking, "How can I make you happier today?" Everyone is busy fighting their own battles. I once had a student named Jim. He worked in an office for 15 years until the company downsized. He called me, his voice full of despair. "I don't even know who I am anymore. I waited for the company to care. I waited for someone to give me a chance. But now, no one's calling back." I asked him, "Jim, if no one's coming to help you, what will you do?" He sighed, then gave a small laugh. "Maybe I'll start over, even if I don't know where to begin." And he did. He began filming short videos teaching office skills, the same things he used to teach his coworkers. For 3 months, nobody watched, but he kept going. 2 years later, that small YouTube channel earned him twice his old salary. And, more importantly, Jim told me, "For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm in control." You see, most of us don't need a miracle. We just need to start. One action, one step. That's enough to change the direction of an entire life. The world is full of people who are waiting for inspiration, waiting for money, waiting for someone's approval. But every successful person I've met, whether they were entrepreneurs, artists, or everyday people, had one thing in common. They didn't wait for anyone. Elon Musk once slept on the floor of his factory. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV job for being unfit for television. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before KFC was accepted. If they had waited for someone to believe in them, we'd never know their names. I know sometimes the journey feels lonely. You start something new, you share your dream, and the people around you laugh. They say, "You can't do that." And you believe them, because deep down you're afraid they might be right. But listen, people only project their own fears onto you. They can't believe you can do it because they've never believed they could do it themselves. And if you live your whole life waiting for other people's approval, you've already handed them the keys to your life. A Harvard study once found that people who take action before they feel ready are 3 times more likely to succeed than those who wait for the right conditions. Why? Because while others are still planning, they're already learning. And life rewards those who move, not those who merely think. I remember my very first personal development class back in 1992. Only 6 people showed up. A close friend told me, "You should wait. Wait until more people are interested." But I didn't wait. I stood on that stage and spoke to those 6 people as if there were 600. 30 years later, I still remember that day. Because if I hadn't spoken to those 6, I would never have had the chance to speak to thousands. Now I want you to ask yourself something. If you knew for sure that no one was coming to help you, what would you do differently? Would you finally write that book? Would you call that person you've been avoiding for years? Would you wake up an hour earlier to learn that skill you've been putting off? Imagine this. The moment you stop waiting, the entire world starts moving with you. Someone once asked me, "But what if I try and fail?" I smiled and said, "Failure isn't as scary as never trying at all. Failure teaches you what success never can. When you fall, you learn to rise. When you lose, you learn to appreciate. When no one helps you, you learn to trust your own hands. And through that process, you become someone new, stronger, wiser, freer." I once had a student named Sarah. She lost her husband at 58 and her job 6 months later. She said to me, "I have no one left. I don't even know where to start." I told her, "Start from where you are." She loved cooking, so I suggested she go back into her old kitchen and start teaching online. No one watched her first video, no one watched the second, but she kept going. 3 years later, her cooking channel had over 2 million followers, and she said to me, "No one came to save me, but because of that, I learned how to save myself." When you finally understand that no one is coming, you start doing things differently. You stop blaming, stop waiting, stop wishing. You start asking, what can I do right now? Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's 10 minutes of exercise every morning. Maybe it's saying thank you to yourself because at least you still have another chance. Change doesn't happen overnight. It happens day by day, choice by choice. There's a quote I love, "A seed must crack open before it can grow." So when your life feels like it's falling apart, maybe it's not ending, maybe it's beginning. The beginning of growth, of inner strength, of a new chapter. But you must believe and you must stand up. People often tell me, "I just want to be free." But here's the paradox. We all say we want freedom, yet the moment life gets hard, we look for someone to rescue us. Freedom and dependence can't coexist. If you want true freedom, you must learn to stand on your own. I've lived through years when no one believed in me, no one supported me. But looking back now, I'm grateful, because if someone had saved me back then, I might never have learned how to save myself. If you're watching this, remember, no one owes you help, no one owes you belief, but you owe yourself a chance. A chance to try to begin to fail and to live authentically. Because in the end, no one can live your life for you except you. The world isn't cruel, it's simply neutral. It offers opportunities to those who reach out. Like Wi-Fi, the signal is always there, but you have to enter the password. No one knocks on your door saying, "Let me connect you." You have to do it yourself. You know, I used to think I'd be happier when someone finally recognized me. But when I started believing in my own effort, I realized other people's belief doesn't matter as much as my own. When you believe in yourself, you speak differently, walk differently, think differently. You stop fearing rejection because you remember you've survived worse days before. There comes a moment in everyone's life when you have to say to yourself, "Enough, I'm not waiting anymore." And the moment you say that, you'll feel a strange kind of energy rise inside you, the power of self-reliance, the strength of someone who no longer needs to be saved. You know, I once thought turning 60 meant slowing down, but now I see this is when I've truly begun to live, because I no longer need anyone's permission. I do things because I choose to. I live because I want to. And I want you, whether you're 40, 50, or 70, to feel that too. No one is coming to save you, but you can become the hero of your own life. And when you do, you'll have the power to lift others not with money, but with your story. So stop waiting. Stop waiting for the world to give you permission to live. Give yourself that permission right now. Do you know something? One day I sat alone in my small room looking at old photos. In one of them, there was me at 30, eyes full of fear, still hoping someone would come along to guide me, to save me from failure and confusion. I smiled, because now I understand no one was ever coming to save me. It was me who needed to learn how to stand up. Strange, isn't it? We spend our whole lives searching for a savior only to realize in the end that we are the ones we've been waiting for all along. I've met thousands of people over the past 30 years of teaching, and I've realized something. People aren't afraid of poverty or hardship. They're afraid of responsibility, because responsibility means you can no longer blame anyone. You can't say because of them or because of the situation. You can only say because I chose this. And yes, that's scary, but it's also where freedom begins. I remember a middle-aged woman once asked me after a talk, "Coach, I've lived half my life already. Is it too late to start over?" I looked at her and smiled. Do you know the oak tree? It takes 40 years to mature, but once it does, it can stand strong for hundreds of years. So if you start today, in 40 years, you'll be that oak, unshakable. She laughed, then cried, because she realized it's never too late to start. It's only too late when you stop believing you can. I once told my students, every morning when you wake up, you have two choices: to keep sleeping and continue dreaming, or to wake up and make that dream come true. And that choice, no one can make it for you. Not your teacher, not your friends, not luck, not the government, only you. Let me tell you a small story, a very simple one. There's an old man in my neighborhood named Frank. He's over 70, widowed, living alone. Every morning I see him outside tending his garden, trimming leaves, planting flowers. One day I asked, "Frank, are you doing all this just to pass the time?" He smiled gently. "Oh no, I'm doing it so time doesn't pass me by." That line stayed with me for years. Frank understood something that many younger people still don't. When you stop moving, you start aging, not in your body, but in your spirit. Look back at yourself for a moment. How many times have you delayed something just because you thought, now's not the right time? How many dreams have you let go of because no one believed in you? How many times have you looked in the mirror and whispered, if only I were braver? I've been there too. We all have. But here's the difference. Will you keep living in if only, or will you start writing a new chapter for yourself? I'm not saying the road will be easy. No, it will be hard. There will be mornings when you'll want to quit. There will be nights you'll stare at the ceiling and think, what am I even doing? But remember, every person who made it has had nights like that. The only difference is they didn't stop. One of my friends, David, used to be a plumber. At 50, he started learning programming. People laughed. At that age, you can't learn that now, but he kept going little by little every day. 3 years later, he got a job at a small tech company. He told me no one believed in me, but no one could stop me either because I finally believed in myself. If someone tells you you can't do it, smile, because they don't know you don't need permission to change your life. You just need to begin. I always remind my students, you don't need to see the whole path, you just need to see the first step, and then take it. Because once you move, the path will reveal itself. People often ask me, how do I overcome fear? And I tell them, don't try to overcome it, walk with it. Fear isn't your enemy. It's a signal, a sign that you're getting close to something important. If you're not afraid, it means you're still inside your comfort zone, and nothing great ever happens there. I once read a study that said people in midlife often fall into a comfort loop, doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, living by habit. But if you break that loop by trying something new, thinking differently, challenging yourself, your brain actually rejuvenates. Science calls it neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire and grow. Amazing, isn't it? It means that whether you're 40, 50, or 70, you can still start over and thrive. You can begin with the smallest things. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each day. Call an old friend. Exercise for 15 minutes each morning. Read 1 page before bed. Simple, right? But each small act is a brick that rebuilds your confidence. Because confidence doesn't just appear, it's built one action at a time. Here's something I want you to do after watching this video. Take a piece of paper and write these words. I am responsible for my life. Stick it somewhere you'll see every day. Your mirror, your fridge, your desk. And each time you see it, remember, no one is coming to save you, but you can save yourself with the choices you make today. I know maybe you're tired. You've tried and failed. You've trusted people and been hurt. You've lost hope, felt empty. But listen, if you're still breathing, if your heart is still beating, life hasn't given up on you. So don't give up on yourself before the miracle happens. Because sometimes the miracle isn't something that comes from outside. The miracle is you when you refuse to give up. I often tell my older students, you don't have to be fast, you just have to keep going. I've seen people at 65 learning to play guitar, 70-year-olds writing books, 75-year-olds starting YouTube channels to share their wisdom. They don't let age define them. They redefine age with courage and curiosity. And one day when you look back, you'll realize no one saved you. But because of that, you finally found yourself. And that is the greatest gift life could ever give. You'll feel proud not because you were perfect, but because you were brave. You dared to fail to try to change. And you'll smile just like I do now and say, in the end, I saved myself. If today you're standing at a crossroads, unsure of which way to go, remember this. Any direction is right as long as you don't stand still. Life doesn't wait. Time doesn't rewind. But every morning you wake up, you have another chance to rewrite your story. So start today, not because you're ready, but because you deserve a new beginning. Take that step, not because someone promised you something, but because you believe you can. Save yourself, not because no one will help, but because you finally understand the real strength has always been within your heart. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this video. If what I shared resonated with you, leave me a comment. Tell me what you want to start in your life. And if you ever need a daily reminder that you are strong enough to change, hit subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together. Because you know what? No one is coming to save you, but I truly believe you will save yourself.